there is a valley in Brazil that you can only reach on foot. No roads, no phone signals, no shortcuts. Just you, the trails, and a landscape that looks like it was designed to make you feel small in the best possible way. Chapada Diamantina, a highland plateau, a national park, and some of the best hiking in all South America. I spent time in Lençóis, the colonial city where every adventure starts, and then went to a 3-day hike into this valley, Vale do Pati. That is part of the most beautiful place in the world. And in this video, I'm going to show you this whole adventure. I hope you guys ready, because just after that, I think you're gonna book to go to that place. Let's go! So first things first, where is this place? Chapada Diamantina National Park sits in the center of the state of Bahia, in northeastern Brazil. Lençóis is the main base town, about 420 kilometers from Salvador, roughly 7 hours by bus inland from the coast, or by plane 1 hour or something. I've done both. I went by plane to Lençóis and went back by bus. Both are fine. The bus is long, but actually it's quite comfortable. I took a night one and, well, you save a night like that, so that's worth it. I'll be honest, Lençóis was more touristy than I expected. Not in a bad way, but it's clearly set up for travelers. There's two main streets, Rua das Pedras and Rua Miguel Calmon, lined with restaurants, agencies, craft shops and bars. And actually I really like the vibe in Lençóis, it's really nice. You really have to walk through the streets there, it's very beautiful. All the houses are colors in blue, yellow, green, all the colors, that's super nice. It's a really nice vibe. Maybe you're gonna want to live there because I've seen some people, some foreigners, living there now. So be careful, I just warn you. At the end of the day, I stay maybe one full day in Lençóis, before and after, so 2 days in total, but that's not enough. You just have time to relax a little bit, to go to the restaurants. But there's a lot of small activities that you can do all around and at the same time enjoy the place and the city. And if you go a little bit further about why this place exists, why Lençóis is so beautiful in the middle of nowhere, because I just told you the name of the park is called Chapada Diamantina. Diamantina for diamonds. It used to be a place where a lot of miners used to go to mine and to dig diamonds, really. But that was in the old days, in the 18th, 19th century, so it's not the case anymore. You still have diamonds, but the government decided to make it a national park, so you can't mine there anymore. And so the city that grew a lot stopped to grow, and it just kept this nice colonial vibe. But please, don't confuse Lençóis here in Bahia, the one we're talking about right now, with Lençóis Maranhenses, another national park located in the northeastern coast of Brazil, where I've been to. I've made a video about that, a really beautiful place too. You can watch this video there, but this is a totally different adventure. Really worth as well, but different. Here we're talking about the city of Lençóis with the national park of Chapada Diamantina and the Trek Vale do Pati, while there is Lençóis Maranhenses National Park there in the northeastern of Brazil on the coast. Very different place. So we're in Lençóis, in Bahia, in this beautiful town, and so what activity you can do there? You could easily fill up a full week around Lençóis without even touching the Vale do Pati Trek. The park is enormous and the day trips alone are worth the journey. I didn't do many activities outside this 3-day trek because I was there for that trek and didn't have a lot of time there. But here's a glimpse of all the daily activity that you can do from Lençóis. The most iconic viewpoint in the park is Morro do Pai Ignacio, a plateau summit that gives you a 360-degree panorama over the entire Chapada. You also have the Cachoeira da Fumaça, one of the highest waterfalls in Brazil. The water drops so far that the wind catches it before it reaches the ground, hence the name, the Smoke Waterfall. Apparently this one is insane. I thought that was inside the 3-day trek Vale do Pati, to be honest, but it wasn't. So I was a little bit sad about that. There were still waterfalls, cachoeiras there during the trek, but not this one. And apparently it's really amazing to see this one, really. If you want something more playful, Ribeirão do Meio is a natural walk slide into a river pool right near town. I haven't been there, but I've been to the natural pools of Serrano, on the other side of Lençóis, where you have kind of holes in the rock. It's super impressive. That's a natural formation where you can chill the whole day with a very beautiful view over Lençóis. for something more underground, the caves around Lençóis, Gruta Azul, Gruta da Pratinha, have crystal clear pools inside geological formations that look almost unreal. And if you want something quieter, away from the main tourist flow, Cachoeira do Buracão, it's another waterfall, it's super dramatic. And one of the favorite places from people that wants a little bit more chill vibe with not so many people around them. Most of these tours can be booked directly on place on Lençóis, or sometimes during the peak season, which is from December to January, because that's the big holidays in Brazil. It can be booked quite early. So also go on their website or go on Get Your Guide, where you will have a lot of those activities listed there. For those ones that I've just mentioned, I will put the link in the description. And with my promo code HorizonHugo5, you will get a 5% discount. And now, the main event, the Vale do Pati, the Chapada Diamantina. That's the reason why so many people come here in Lençóis, the best in the whole Bahia region, if not the whole Brazil, if not the whole South America, like really. The landscape is just amazing. The valley can only be accessed on foot. No roads, no vehicle, once you're in, you're in. The trek can be done in 3 to 5 days depending on your version of the circuit. I did 3 days covering between 10 to 18 kilometers per day, with altitude changing from 400 to 500 meters each day, reaching a maximum elevation of around 1,400 meters. It's a real hike. Beginners can do it, but it's a real hike. You know, you really have to walk and to climb some places and to go down to those places. It's a tough one. I did it with an agency and a group. The group was worth it, and plus the landscape, everything was super nice. But the agency itself and the guides, not that much. That could have been better, so I'll talk about that a little bit later. But first, I'm gonna break down the trek day by day. On the first day, we met at 7 AM in Lençóis on the main place. We packed, we were ready, and we got that mix of excitement and a little bit nervous about all that big trek coming in front of us. We had 2 hours to reach Guinea, the starting point. The first hour was fine, the second hour in the road was a little bit complex. My back was already hurting, not a good sign. But we stopped at a small shop near the start of the trail. We grabbed some food, we bought a few last things, then we started walking. And straight away it goes up. No easy start, just steep from the beginning. We took our time, we stopped when we needed to, no rush. And when we reach the top and turn around, the view back over where we came from is already really good. But then you turn to the other way and it's completely a different thing. A huge flat open area in front of you and a mountain already visible far in the distance. That got me. That was super impressive. You start to understand the size of what you're walking to, and it's exciting. A long, easy walk across the plateau brought us to the Rio Preto, the Blood River. We had lunch here. The water is cold, but we all jumped there anyway. After that climb in that heat, it was absolutely worth it. Then we crossed the rest of the plateau toward Milante do Pati, and when we arrived at that viewpoint, the valley just opened up below us. One of those views where you just stop talking and just look. Really, this view was the very first of this whole trek, the most beautiful I've ever seen for the moment. But maybe on the second day that was even more beautiful. We descended to the base camp for the night. The camp is big with several rooms, separated by gender except for couples, which means there are other trekking groups too, which is part of the charm. Simple, but it has everything you actually need. Beds, food, cold showers, a small shop. Well, at least we had showers, but it was a little bit cold. The food is home cooked and is generally excellent. You can get in line early if you're hungry, but you don't need to stress. There is plenty. They refill every dishes until everyone is full. Really, this was really the most impressive things I've seen during that trek compared to other treks I've done with other groups. Looks like you had infinite food for everyone. We were more than maybe 30 or 40 in total on the first night. Not only our group, we were around 10. but there were 40 people eating everything, but the kitchen were still bringing more food. And this, yeah. On that night, we had some music in live, someone lit a fire, and a group that had spent the whole day in silence on the trail suddenly had a lot to say to each other. A perfect end to a hard first day. On the second day, we woke up at 7 something. We had a nice breakfast with enough for a whole army. Same thing, the kitchen was quite amazing. We left at 9 AM because there was a lot of fog over the valley in the morning. So no need to rush in that case because otherwise you won't see anything. The good news is our bag were lighter today. We were doing a loop and coming back to the same camp at night. That small thing makes a real difference. The walk starts easy, on the flat dirt path, not much to look at yet because of the fog was still there, but slowly it starts to clear and the valley just appears around you. The walls, the plateau, the whole space. It's really something. We went down to the river at the bottom, we entered the forest, and then the climbing got serious again. Big rocks as steps, steep sections, the kind of path where you stop chatting and you just focus. You just focus on your breath and trying to not to fall behind. This is also where, if you're lucky, you'll spot micos or capucine monkeys moving through the canopy above you. You focus on your feet, and then there is a movement up in the trees, one of those moments that catches you completely off guard. If you've never seen a monkeys in the wild, the Chapada Diamantina forest might be your moment. You may also spot some jaguars, maybe. Apparently, our guides, on 10 years of doing this trek, this adventure, he have seen jaguars 2 or 3 times. This is quite impressive still, but maybe we got lucky. Maybe you don't want to see a jaguar. Up to you. I want to see one. We stopped a lot to drink and cool down. The forest section is tough, but when you get to the top of the Morro do Castelo, the views are some of the best of the whole trek. And the rock formations up there are really impressive, almost like they were built on purpose. Compared to the first day and the second day, this view was even more impressive. The most beautiful view of the whole trek. But maybe on the third day we'll have a better view. On the way back down, we went through 3 waterfalls: Cachoeira das Bananeiras, Cachoeira do Funil, and Cachoeira da Ladeia. That last one is where we swam and really took our time. The other 2 we just stopped a few minutes. It was busy, but completely worth it. Then back to the base camp, we had dinner, we slept early, because the third day was about to be the longest and the most complex. And the third day started, already the last one, that goes fast. The longest day though, 18 kilometers. We packed everything and left the base camp for good. From there, it's one direction, back to the cars at Guinea. But we weren't taking the direct routes. First, one last viewpoint. The trail took us back toward the starting plateau. At a junction, we stashed most of our bags hidden in the bush. Yes, really, everyone does it. And yes, they were still there when we came back. And then headed toward the final viewpoint. 1 or 2 hours of walking to reach the Cachoeira por Cima. 300 meters. This waterfall is massive. On a clear day, that's what we had, and that was amazing. The falling water threw a rainbow across the mist rising from below. Looking down from the viewpoint above it, it's generally one of the most beautiful things I saw on the entire trek. So that's very comparable to the Cachoeira da Fumaça, the activity I was talking about a bit earlier. The same vibe, but not exactly the same, because on this waterfall at that moment, the flow of the waterfall wasn't that impressive. It was something, it was super nice, but the view was more impressive than the waterfall itself. And I was flying my drone up there when an eagle decided it was a competition and came straight for it. A brief moment of real panic. The bird was serious about it. I managed to bring back the drone safely, but it was close. Memorable, to say the least. We had lunch nearby. Some people swam into the river, others were just taking a nap. Nobody wanted to leave, which is either a good sign or a problem, depending on how many kilometers you still have left. Then we came back for the bags and the final push. 2 hours across the plateau. 1 hour down the Alexo descent, the same slope we'd climb on day 1, now in reverse, with legs that had already done 2 full days of work, if not 3. 2 more hours driving back to Lençóis, and we arrived at around 8 p.m. My legs were completely done. I was barely walking, but completely happy. The trek was officially finished. So this trek definitely delivered. I was so happy to have done it at the end of the day. 3 full days of impressive views. Really, that was amazing. But about the whole experience with this agency, I could say a few things. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not gonna name the agency, but just so you know. For example, we were told to meet at 7 a.m. and we were all there at 7 a.m. but we left at 8:30 something because the guide were chilling and putting our bags on the cars, etc. But so many of us went really at 7 a.m. and we didn't have a proper breakfast for a big day that was coming. So yeah, that was a little bit off. You know, you could meet at 8 because so many hotels propose a breakfast at 7 a.m. So that could have been done a little bit better. And then because we took the car at 8:30, by the time we started to climb it was 11:30 and the sun was very heavy and we started to do this very big high climb at 11:30, 12, 1 p.m. That's like the worst day to do such a high climb. So same, like if we would have started earlier or later, that would have been better. But so there's something not right on that. And another problem that came with that was like the water supply. Our guides were already carrying all the food, and so there's nothing about that, and they don't have to carry our water. We weren't properly advised or warned about the amount of water we should take and if we had a refill at lunch. All of us thought that we would have a refill at lunch, and from what I understood, the refill was like the river. But after they were like telling us that the river, if you drink the water river, you may gonna get sick. So at the end, nobody took that water and just tried to rationate the water until we reached the base camp at night. So also the water supplies on the first day and also on the third day, same thing. On the third day we were aware now, but that was such a long day that it was already also complex to manage the water. Another thing that was a little bit sad, it's like that the guides were rushing us a little bit at the viewpoints. We had few viewpoints, probably like at the end, one main viewpoint on each day, and I felt like that we were rushing. Also on other points, like I took a lot of photos and videos. I was always a little bit at the end of the group taking photos, but it's not the first time that I was doing a trek. I already told them. I wasn't the only one also sometimes being in the back of the group, but they were always trying to push us a little bit, you know, so that's a shame a little bit when you do such a big trek, you just want to take your time. I understand that they have like timing, but in that case, maybe doing it solo is also something to consider. And one last thing is that we had 3 guides and only one was speaking English. It was okay for me because I speak Portuguese, so I could interact with them a little bit more, but for people that weren't speaking Portuguese, that was a bit complex, and even some other people were speaking more or less English, so you know, foreigners trying to speak English and the guide trying to speak English, it's not so. This didn't help us to really connect with the guides, and things could have been done a little bit better. At the end of the day, I don't blame that much the guides. I just think it's more like about the agency that should have maybe prepared them a little bit better, or try to create a group of guides where they speak better English, that they are a little bit more aware of the things that may happen or not happen, etc. Because I felt like we had some lack of information with them. And yeah, well, that happens. At the end of the day, I'm super happy to have done this trek. I'm super happy to have done with a group, but looking at it, I think that I could have done it alone, and I may have enjoyed it even more alone. Because at the base camp, I've met some people that went by themselves. A group of friends, the couples that went there, that was a little bit difficult. It's not the same path, but from Lençóis you can directly start the trek to reach the same base camp we had at the day 1 and the day 2. To give you an example, I've done a trek in Peru, in close to Arequipa, Colcado Canyon. I've made an article about that on my website, and later I will make a video about that. So if you love those kind of adventures, just follow, and later I will make a video about that place. But to say that I've done that trek 3 days alone, and that was tough, and that would have been the same with a group, like the same path, but alone you really enjoy because you can stop wherever you want. And even more for me, that makes sense because I'm taking a lot of photos with my camera, a lot of video with my drone. So if I come back, I will do this trek again, maybe for 5 days and alone, definitely. And just to add about that, at the base camp you can come by yourself there. You have to pay something like 250 reais, which is 30-50 euros. It switched a little bit, but you don't have to reserve in advance. You can try to contact them, but they don't have phones or contact on Google, I think. And you have various ones. So you can just go there in this valley. You'll have some of them. If it's full, you go to the next one. But I think it's really worth to go there. You will have a bed, you will have plenty of food. So yeah, why not try it? But I prefer to warn you, you have to be a little bit experimental in doing trekking. This one can't be your first one alone. This will be a little bit crazy. At the end of the day, the Vale do Pati was on my bucket list for years, and it delivered completely. Each day brought a different perspective on the same extraordinary landscape. The base camp meals, the monkey sightings, the eagle trying to steal my drone, those moments stay with me long after my legs recover. If you're building a Brazil trip and want something beyond the beaches, something that takes the real effort, something you actually earn, Lençóis Bahia and Chapada Diamantina hiking are it. Not maybe, not someday. This one, it's a real adventure that's really you're gonna be happy to have done it. It's quite a complex one, you may gonna suffer a little bit, but once it's done, you're like, I did it. Plan it properly, carry enough water, and when you finally got that viewpoint, take your time. You came this far, don't let anyone rush you. I hope you've enjoyed the content. If so, just hit the like button. If you want to see more adventure like that, just follow. And if you want all those information, they are on my website, so you don't need to write again all those information. They are already on my website. You can go there and find everything you need. If you have any questions, you can write them on the comment right now, or you can send me a DM on Instagram, Horizon Hugo. And I will see you on the next adventure. Ciao, ciao guys.